Hey, what's happening, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. This, of course, is Rob of Rule of Two Review. And you may have noticed that there hasn't been a whole lot of news going on out there. Not a lot of activity in the gaming world and in the gaming industry right now. In fact, most of the news stories are about the lack of activity, right? Things being canceled, delays on games, where are the games, where are the Nintendo Directs? That's pretty much been the conversation. And that's all fine and good. It's obviously kind of depressing because we want more stuff to talk about and more stuff to play. And through that, it got me thinking about a topic that kind of came up in my last video, of course centered around Nintendo and their release schedule for 2020, or lack thereof. And I kind of wanted to elaborate on that just a little bit today. So, like I mentioned in my last video about Nintendo and the lack of Nintendo Direct and their overall silence and kind of disappearance from the gaming landscape, with the exception of the Animal Crossing Nintendo Direct, something that I brought up in that video was the idea that I kind of realized a couple of weeks ago that in 2020, this coming year, here we are in the beginning of the year, and I realized that in 2020, I have no Nintendo games to buy. And in fact, more than having no Nintendo games to buy, I really don't have many Switch games to buy. And that was a pretty startling realization because the Switch is great. It's awesome. And it's one of the three major key players in the home console industry. And beyond that, it is an extremely successful and popular player in the home console industry. And so, one would think when a console is typically hitting its stride in year number 3 here, coming up on year number 3 actually, that's tomorrow, that's normally when you kind of see consoles firing on all cylinders and the manufacturer behind the console firing on all cylinders. You're getting some of the biggest and best and most exciting games released on that console, first party, third party, multi-platform, all of the above, indie of course. And, it's been interesting with the Switch because I think 2017 and 2019 were really great years for the Switch. 2018 was a bit lacking, but still wasn't terrible and certainly had some games to play throughout that year. And now that we're coming up on 2020 and technically what will be year 3 as of March 3rd, it's like, how are we in this situation where there's just not that much to play on the Nintendo Switch? What is going on with Nintendo? What is going on with the release schedule? I mean, we've got some third-party games that we know we can be excited for this year. I brought up recently, Doom Eternal is a game that I do want to play on the Switch. I know I'm not going to buy it right away because it's delayed on the Switch, and I'm definitely going to pick it up on my PlayStation 4 or my Xbox One, so I'm going to have to get to it on a different console. But at least it's a huge, high-profile, great-looking game that is coming to the machine. Of course, my number one game for the year pretty much is No More Heroes 3, a Nintendo Switch exclusive. That is not a Nintendo game, but it is a game coming out this year that I will play. And there's some really good indie games and probably a couple of others. Bravely Default 2 is a third-party game coming this year. And so, there's a smattering of some third-party games here and there. But we don't know a lot on the indie side. We don't know a lot more on the third-party side beyond that. And we know basically nothing about first-party, Nintendo-developed and published games. And it is honestly and truly crazy to me that in 2020, year number 3, for this very popular and successful console, that I can look at the year and say, right now, I have nothing to buy. The release schedule is extremely barren, and there's almost nothing that appeals to me. It's pretty much No More Heroes 3. At least off the top of my head, I did a quick research to remind myself of anything coming out in 2020 for the Switch, and Doom Eternal and No More Heroes 3 are it. Now, I'm sorry, there is an exception, of course, with the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I am very excited for that, and I think I've decided in the past week that without question I will pick up and play that on the Switch this year. It is a game that I already own and have played to death on my Nintendo Wii. I picked it up launch day when it was still a GameStop exclusive, and so I already have that game. And so playing it again is going to be nice. I'm very excited for the new graphics and visuals, but it's still not a new game, so it just isn't quite the same thing. And so I know that I touched on a lot of this in that last Nintendo video, and I am trying not to repeat a lot of the same points and ideas, at least too much. But it was truly only a smaller part to that conversation, and it is something that I thought was worth kind of exploring and discussing more, mostly because it's something that I'm just thinking about. I mean, it's an idea in my head. It's something that I care about. And one of the best ways for me to think through stuff that's stuck in my head in the gaming space is to take advantage of my YouTube channel and talk to you guys about it. And so why are we seeing this situation? Why are we seeing a Nintendo Switch 2020 year that really has nothing going on for it? And, I guess I don't know. One of the obvious reasons is, as I've had to bring up a couple of times, we know about the, coronavirus thing that's happening right now. Yes, I decided to say it out loud. I've been avoiding it because other YouTubers have been avoiding it, but it's like, whatever. I'm just going to... So there you go. So I said it. Okay, a lot of you just wanted me to say the freaking name of the thing. And so, you know what? I think that there is a good chance that the way some industries and some parts of the world economy are temporarily being affected by this thing, and manufacturing of products in a variety of industries, including gaming, is being affected. I really do think that a huge part of the reason that we might be seeing a lack of info from Nintendo, and this also extends to Sony with the PlayStation 5, really very likely is because of this thing, you guys. And I know for a while, early on, a couple of months ago when that was new news, people wanted to not think at all that there was any chance that it could be affecting the gaming industry. And, maybe it's not. I don't have the secrets, the behind-the-scenes knowledge. You don't have that either. So maybe it's not affecting those things, but it kind of makes sense for it to be. And I will repeat this, and I said this on my last video as well. I'm going to elaborate on that here. Again, is the fact that even if, we're waiting for a Nintendo Direct and we haven't seen it and people wonder if it's the viral situation that's causing that, I feel like the viral situation wouldn't be affecting a Nintendo Direct, but I could see it affecting the products featured in a Nintendo Direct. And so if Nintendo had one planned for February and decided to not show it because of this situation, it's not because the outbreak is making it so that a pre-filmed package can't go onto the internet. They might not show it because, well, more than half the games we talk about in this Nintendo Direct and all of their release dates suddenly are in jeopardy and everything is in flux and we don't know when things are going to be completed and able to be shipped and if it's slowing down manufacturing or whatever. And so because of that, this Direct suddenly has no meaning because everything is in flux all of a sudden. And so that's the part that makes me wonder if that's affecting not only the Nintendo Direct, but very likely some of the information about games for the Nintendo Switch. Game releases, first-party games, third-party games, physical product that would be shipping around the world. Maybe all of that stuff is in jeopardy right now, or all of that stuff they can't nail down what they want to nail down. And so through that, Nintendo is just playing it safe and maybe just backing off for a while. Now, of course, that's just a conspiracy theory kind of situation, and there is such a good chance that none of that is true. There's a possibility it is, but there's a very good possibility it's not. Just speculation, it's a conspiracy theory, like I said. Stepping away from the conspiracy theory and thinking maybe a little bit more realistically just about the situation, there's also a chance, and this isn't really great news to be fair, but there is a chance that Nintendo really just was not prepared for 2020. Maybe they were just caught off guard as they were wrapping up 2019 and they were looking ahead to the future. And, they got out all of the great Nintendo games and third-party games they got on the Nintendo Switch in 2019. And then it comes time for 2020, where's the state of development of games like Breath of the Wild 2 and Bayonetta 3? And, are they making like a new Pikmin game or a Kid Icarus game or whatever they might be doing? What's the state of these games? Man, none of them are going to be ready in 2020. Holy smokes, we have nothing to release in 2020. Maybe that's it. And I mean, how many times do I have to remind you guys about Animal Crossing? A huge title. People are very excited. My girlfriend is very excited. It is going to sell extremely well. We're even buying an Animal Crossing Switch for her to have her own Switch. And maybe we're going to do like a joint unboxing video. So yeah, that game exists and it's going to be great for Animal Crossing fans. But as I've reminded you guys every time, you know this, I'm not an Animal Crossing fan. I'm not buying that game. I'm not playing that game. I have nothing against it. I hope that it's fantastic and sells well and that fans love it and that my girlfriend loves it. And I expect everybody will. So thank goodness that Nintendo does have at least one humongous title to release on the Switch. And it comes out in mere weeks from now. So that's great. But it doesn't affect my gaming time and my gaming library. Rob's Nintendo Switch time is not impacted by Animal Crossing. It means nothing to me in my world. It's a nothing game. And so the fact that Nintendo might have also just been surprised and somehow not ready is very sad. I mean, I would like to think Breath of the Wild 2, I don't know. I've never predicted that as a 2020 title, but with how slow the year looks, I would love to think that that game could come out this year, maybe around the holiday. And Bayonetta 3, where is this freaking game? I mean, Platinum is on Twitter now saying that everything is going fine, there's no need to worry. But it's like, well, why have we seen or heard nothing about that game from the day that it was revealed? You know, whatever, 2 years ago, I think. It's like, talk about this game, show us this game, give us a release window, give us freaking gameplay, Jesus, like, show us what Bayonetta is even going to look like in this game. And they're so silent. I would still have to think overall that, I mean, I would still probably put money that Bayonetta 3 will be a 2020 title. And if that's true, when Nintendo confirms it, it's going to be great. It's going to be huge news and everyone will be happy and excited. But until then, we're waiting on that stuff. Metroid Prime 4, you know how I feel about that. It's my #1 game in this universe, and it is not coming out in 2020. You're crazy if you think it's coming out in 2020. It's not. Obviously, I'd love it to be done in 2020, but there's no way that that game is ready to go. That game is probably 2 years away still, unfortunately. So whatever is happening with Nintendo in 2020, it's very strange, you know? And, you know, some of the situation might be out of their control as far as why the year looks so barren and we haven't heard anything and we know nothing about Switch titles we can play this year. A lot of it might be in their control. Maybe this is part of their plan. Maybe they just were surprised by the fact that they couldn't have a lot of games ready. I don't know. The third-party situation's unique because you would think at least the third-party companies that are making a lot of these games would be talking about them more. We've got Doom Eternal, like I said, No More Heroes 3, Bravely Default. There's also the Panzer Dragoon remake. There's the Outer Worlds. And maybe there's probably some other ones. You know, there's just all these games. There's a couple. I even talked about them a few weeks ago, actually. That roadmap that they released. All of those titles, I mean, those are coming this year, I guess. We don't really have dates nailed down for all of them. The Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles remake, stuff like that, or remaster, I should call it. Like, these are good third-party games that are likely coming out this year, but most of them don't have any sort of release date or release window. And even still, none of those are really huge banger hitters, and so none of them are really going to fill the gaps and fill the void of the Switch's library this year. We need bigger stuff, which to me is a Doom and a No More Heroes. And a Bravely Default even. Those are the 3 third-party titles that really kind of fill in the gaps for me. The Xenoblade Definitive Edition, lots of rumors pointing to that releasing in May. I hope that it sticks to that. I would love to get that confirmation soon, because at this point, it is literally one of 2 Nintendo Switch titles I know that I'm going to play this year. No More Heroes 3 and Xenoblade. And as I already said, Xenoblade, as much as I love it to death, is a game I've already played. And so, this is just a weird situation that we find ourselves in, and that Nintendo finds themselves in. And as I said, you know, to wrap up that last video, all we can do is wait. That's really all we can do. It is very sad to me that I have no titles to play on my Switch this year for the most part, and we don't even know what's happening with No More Heroes 3. They've doubled down on 2020, which is awesome to hear, but I do still get nervous it might get delayed. You know, we'll wait until we actually find out more info. Obviously, this is also several months before E3. Things could change at E3. If E3 even happens, of course. And even if E3 doesn't happen in person, I would think Nintendo, at the bare minimum, if not all the other companies, would still put out something to the world and to the internet to show what they were going to do. And Nintendo already does a direct for E3 anyway, so at the very least, we would probably just get that thing released online, regardless of the E3 convention. And so, you know, June and summertime will be a very interesting time to see if Nintendo does finally start opening the floodgates as far as 2020 stuff. But the problem is, at that point, we're already halfway through the year. And so that means the whole first half of the year will have been empty except for one game. And as I've already said, that one game, Animal Crossing, is a game that I'm not going to be playing. So it's a weird time. 2020 is a weird year, you guys, for a variety of reasons, not just gaming reasons. It's just been a weird year across the board. And then you add on top of that the weirdness of the gaming situation, the Nintendo being silent situation, what's happening with the PlayStation 5, people curious if the PS5 and Xbox Series X might even get delayed to 2021. I, in fact, think that there's a good chance that happens as well. It's just crazy, man. New decade, new era, new weird stuff happening in 2020. So hopefully everything turns out for the better across the board for everyone. Hopefully everyone out there is safe and ends up safe at the end of the day. And hopefully Nintendo talks to us about some video games kind of soon. That would be nice, right? I think we all want to hear from Nintendo about video games. And yes, I want to hear about the PlayStation 5 as well from Sony. So, I don't know. These are just my random thoughts that I was vomiting out to you guys here in this video. These are my thoughts and opinions. It's sad, but all we can do is wait. I'm willing to wait, but I'm still going to continue to be curious on what's going on with the Switch in 2020. So that's what I have to say. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts and opinions? Please share them below. And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.